Welcome to Chubby Scholar, where history comes to life through facts and stories. Today, we're exploring one of the biggest questions of World War II. How important was the United States in defeating fascism? By 1941, much of Europe had fallen under Axis control. Nazi Germany seemed almost unstoppable as country after country was conquered. Many people wondered whether anyone could stop Hitler's growing empire. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. The attack used blitzkrieg, combining tanks, aircraft, and fast-moving infantry. This invasion officially marked the beginning of World War II. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. What began in Poland quickly expanded into a global conflict. German forces rapidly swept across Western Europe using blitzkrieg tactics. Their speed and coordination shocked the world. On June 14, 1940, Paris fell to German forces. France's defeat dramatically strengthened Hitler's position in Europe. By late 1940, most of continental Europe was under Nazi control or influence. Only Britain continued resisting from across the English Channel. At this point, many believed Hitler could not be stopped, but events were about to change the course of history. Across the Atlantic, the United States remained officially neutral. Most Americans hoped to stay out of another European war. President Franklin D. Roosevelt believed democracy had to be protected. He described America as the arsenal of democracy. In March 1941, the United States passed the Lend-Lease Act. It allowed military supplies to be sent to Allied nations fighting the Axis. American factories dramatically increased aircraft production. The country's industrial power was becoming one of its greatest weapons. Millions of women joined factories to support the war effort. Their work kept production running around the clock. Factories produced thousands of Sherman tanks every year. American industry was preparing for a long global war. Aircraft rolled off assembly lines at an incredible pace. The United States soon became the world's largest producer of military aircraft. Liberty ships were built faster than any cargo ships before them. They carried vital supplies across dangerous oceans. Convoys transported weapons, food, and fuel to Britain, despite constant submarine attacks. Keeping these supply routes open was essential for the Allied war effort. American aid also reached the Soviet Union through Arctic convoys. These supplies supported Soviet logistics on the Eastern Front. By supplying its allies, America became known as the arsenal of democracy. Industrial production became just as important as battlefield victories. Even while supporting its allies, the United States had not officially entered the war. That situation would soon change forever. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The attack shocked the American people. The USS Arizona was destroyed during the attack. More than 2,400 Americans lost their lives that day. The following day, President Roosevelt addressed Congress. He called December 7th a date which will live in infamy. Congress overwhelmingly voted to declare war on Japan. The United States had officially entered World War II. A few days later, Germany declared war on the United States. The conflict had now become a truly global war. Millions of Americans answered the call to serve after the United States entered the war. Training camps quickly transformed ordinary civilians into soldiers, sailors, and pilots. The nation was preparing for a conflict unlike any it had faced before. Across the country, new recruits trained day and night for combat. They learned to operate tanks, artillery, aircraft, and modern weapons. America was building one of the largest fighting forces in its history. The Battle of the Atlantic became a fight for survival. German U-boats tried to cut off Allied supply lines by sinking cargo ships. Without these supplies, Britain and the Soviet Union would struggle to continue the war. In November 1942, Allied forces landed in North Africa during Operation Torch. It was the first major American ground campaign against Nazi Germany. The operation marked America's arrival on the European battlefield. After months of fighting, the Allies secured victory in North Africa. Thousands of Axis troops surrendered in Tunisia. The success opened the door for the invasion of Italy. In July 1943, Allied forces invaded Sicily. The operation weakened Axis control over the Mediterranean. It also accelerated the collapse of Mussolini's fascist government. The Allies continued their advance into mainland Italy. German forces defended every mountain and valley with fierce resistance. The campaign became one of the longest and most difficult battles in Europe. Breaking through the Gustav Line required months of costly fighting. Allied soldiers faced strong fortifications and difficult terrain. Victory came only through persistence and cooperation among many nations. Meanwhile, Britain became the staging ground for the largest invasion in history. Thousands of ships, aircraft, and soldiers gathered in southern England. Everything was being prepared for D-Day. On June 6, 1944, Operation Overlord began. More than 150,000 Allied troops crossed the English Channel. The liberation of Western Europe had begun. Omaha Beach became one of the bloodiest landing zones of D-Day. American soldiers faced heavy machine gun and artillery fire. Despite enormous casualties, they secured the beach and continued advancing inland. The fighting continued through the hedgerows of Normandy. Every village and every field had to be captured one step at a time. Slowly but steadily, the Allies pushed deeper into France. On August 25, 1944, Paris was liberated. Crowds filled the streets to celebrate the end of 4 years of occupation. For millions, it became a powerful symbol of hope and freedom. By late 1944, Germany was fighting on 2 major fronts. The Western Allies advanced from France, while the Soviet Union pushed from the east. Germany's military resources became increasingly overstretched. The Battle of Stalingrad had already changed the course of the war. Germany suffered devastating losses after months of brutal fighting. Many historians consider it one of the most important turning points of World War II. Soon after Stalingrad came the Battle of Kursk. It became the largest tank battle ever fought. After this defeat, Germany never regained the strategic initiative on the Eastern Front. The Red Army continued advancing westward across Eastern Europe. City after city was liberated as German forces retreated. By early 1945, Soviet troops were approaching Berlin itself. In the Pacific, American forces fought fiercely for Iwo Jima. The volcanic island was heavily defended by Japanese troops. Its capture provided an important base for future air operations. The raising of the American flag on Mount Suribachi became an iconic image of the war. It symbolized determination rather than the end of the battle. Fighting on Iwo Jima continued for weeks afterward. The Battle of Okinawa was one of the bloodiest campaigns in the Pacific. Both military forces and civilians suffered enormous losses. The battle demonstrated how costly an invasion of Japan could become. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima. The explosion caused unprecedented destruction. It marked the beginning of the nuclear age. 3 days later, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. The Soviet Union also declared war on Japan during this period. Together, these events pushed Japan toward surrender. On August 15, 1945, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's acceptance of Allied surrender terms. For millions around the world, the long years of war were finally coming to an end. Peace was now within reach. The official surrender ceremony took place aboard the USS Missouri on September 2, 1945. Representatives from many Allied nations witnessed the signing. World War II had officially ended. America played a vital role through its industrial power, military strength, and global logistics. But victory over fascism was achieved through the combined efforts and sacrifices of many Allied nations. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, Chubby Scholar. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more history, politics, economics, and science documentaries. See you in the next video.